All right. Part four. The Still in the travel to the country of the Winhams. Chapter six. Chapter six. Where we go more. Gulliver digs more of a hole of himself. Gulliver, who is this kind of gormless character who can't help but tell the truth about his country in the most bald terms. It's interesting. It's a traveler who goes to other countries and explains his country to the horrified foreigners of this country. This being the super rational, vegetarian, communistic, um, communist Winhams who are very puzzled by a lot of things. You know, just this whole idea of like, well, why do people starve in your country? Like, can't you produce enough, stuff, food and drink for them? And it's like, oh no, we can produce way more food and drink than anywhere else. It's that we have so many ultra rich people who suck up so much of that resources that everyone else that like 1,000 people have to go for want for one of them to be maintained in their lifestyle, and we indeed span the entire globe, causing untold misery to other folks and death and disease, so that a lady can get up in the morning and have her breakfast, and dip her cup into whatever food she's eating. There is definitely Swift has a thing of like, the men are greedy and avaristic, which is probably also greedy, and stuff like that. The women in Swift it's all vanity, which apparent. Swift's great on satire for a lot of stuff, but his views on women are vain, shallow creatures, which is not that great, not that great. And he does it enough that you wonder. It's like, okay, I don't know if he's being satiric as much as he's just like, because like I know, say like, oh, and maintaining a lady is takes even 5 times as many workers as all the other stuff that maintaining my wife takes probably is 5 times as many workers as like building the house or doing all this other stuff, which is kind of ridiculous. But it's there's also that thing of like women are baubles that the men are outfitting to show exactly how fabulous they are in British society, and you can make your decide how you feel about that in modern times with certain peoples, certain couples, certain things where you have the trophy. It's usually the trophy wife. Though I guess maybe we'll have some trophy husbands. Still fucking horrible. He goes so, but like the Winhams are like everyone should have a title to a certain amount of possessions regardless of where they are in society. Why would you kind of keep from this? Like, oh no, this is all about like getting as much as you can, and sometimes and even rich men being also being miserly and not wanting to give up anything. They just want to accumulate. um and just it's definitely one of those things of like explaining it. The modern equivalent is like an alien comes down and you explain the world to them. It's like, so there's certain people who like to accumulate so much fucking wealth that they're never going to be able to spend it in 1 billion years, much less just over the course of their lifetime, while at the same time horribly exploiting and grinding down like their employees. Hi, Jeff Bezos. You're definitely a Yahoo. And it's interesting that within this chapter, you see Gulliver, because these conversations are apparently happening over several months, that Gulliver does slip into the thing of calling his fellow human beings back in England and that they're Yahoos as well. That seems to have like kind of clicked into place here, and Swift just sort of slips that in there as Gulliver talking about the Yahoos of his own country. Um, and so there's that. He goes into the medical profession. It's like, well, why are you all so diseased? Well, it's because we drink so much and we imbibe so much stuff that is completely contrary to our system. So like, again, the irrationality of human beings, and that there's Swift kind of has it as like, oh well, there's the prostitutes have lots of diseases, and these get in that they give it to the men, which you can see how where that laying the blame on the sex workers versus on maybe the men themselves. But they give the diseases to the men, and the men can, these some of these diseases are hereditary, are passed down through the line, so the children born of even with their wives, because the husband has syphilis or something, also has that, and so they are born that way. And he goes into like, yeah, the doctors, they like to make us throw up or to shit ourselves or just purge. Doesn't even go into bleeding. I wonder if bleeding was as much of a thing at this point. But just paints a nightmare scenario of the medicine of the time. And they can't save us, but they're very good at predicting that we're going to die. It's like, well, yeah, of course, because you're all going to die, and the horrible ways you are going to die. And the Yahoo also compliments Gulliver, saying like, well, you're in comparison to our Yahoos, you're amazing. You've got reason, you've got language, you dress yourselves, you comport yourself well. You must be like, of noble birth. And he was, oh, no. You misconstrue what a noble means in my country. And all the young nobles in my country, the young male nobles in my country, are bred to be idle and vain and luxurious and yeah, catch horrible diseases and basically be of the worst kind of physical characteristics, where and that if a noble family produces an heir who is actually healthy and robust, that's looked on with the greatest shame, because it's obvious that they didn't sleep with their husband. They must have slept with some lowborn groom or something like that to produce somebody who is like an actually a good, vigorous physical specimen with maybe a modicum of. He's like, he should be inbred, diseased. Dullards is the only thing that the nobles of our thinking. However, and this is the kicker, the final little paragraph on that is like, and without these people form the body of rulers, and without the consent of this illustrious body, no law can be enacted, repealed, or altered, and all these nobles have likewise the decision of all our possessions without appeal, which goes back to the whole thing of, it's not a communist state like the Winhams have. Communist, not in the big C, Karl Marx communist, but in communal ownership, which apparently was again a lot of time in this book. It seems like Swift is using Thomas More's Utopia as a model for the utopian society of the Winhams, and how it's structured. That it's the Winhams. Thomas More's Utopia has come out quite a bit while I've been reading this, and maybe that would be a work to find a decent translation of, and possibly just read it out here as well. When I'm always looking for something to read, and definitely I think reading Swift out loud has been really good for me, because it's forced me to kind of pay attention to all the words and to evaluate it on a different scale. Help me to kind of overcome that thing of like, I think as fiction, this isn't. This is obviously proto fiction in a way. It's a fantasy book, but it's kind of would be very thin gruel as fantasy book. But as political social satire, it's really good, and it benefits from reading it out loud and then stopping and then going through the notes and thinking about it. So yeah, that's what I've got today for Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. A timely book, unfortunately. I think it's going to be a timely book until mankind is dead and done and dust. So all right, I'll leave it there. More videos later.